Good morning. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. It's still a little on the cool side, but I love it. It's a really good day. Um, I want a conversation that I had yesterday in the community section. I wanted to talk about that. Talk about living in a manufactured home, mobile home, whatever you want to call it. When I moved here, I needed a fresh start. And at that time, housing was over the top expensive. I sold my home because I couldn't take care of it myself. It was too big, it was a lot of work, and it was expensive. Now, the house itself was in excellent shape. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. Uh, I would have loved to have stayed there, but I only used 3 rooms in that house. And the reason for that was due to being sick with COVID, losing my husband. Um, During that time, I was not just grieving, but I was trying to get over a sickness that took everything from me. So, what would I do? Do I stay in a place that's going to just drain my finances? Because you have to stop and think about this. The day your spouse dies, their income is gone. We were retired, but he still had his Social Security, and I had mine. Then, when he's gone, it's gone. I never did benefit from his retirement because his ex got that. She got the whole thing. He got nothing. He got nothing. So that wasn't even an option. And his was set up that when he died, his retirement fund died with him. So, this happens. And if you're not prepared for it, it could be devastating. Since I had already lost a spouse many years before, I knew what to expect. So even though I knew what to expect, I was not mentally or physically in a position to take it on all by myself. I just wasn't. I couldn't do anything. I do 1,000 times more now than I did then because I was so weak, it was unbelievable. So my choice was to hire everything, including cleaning and taking care of the pets and all of those things, or move. And I wanted to move. I really wanted to move back uh, in a southern county where I was from, and the prices were just out of my reach because I needed to buy something and move in before I sold what I was living in. So it made it impossible for me to do. I could have gotten a lot more for my home had I sold it sooner than I did. But I also had to make sure that I could take care of myself. I had to make sure that I could safely move in and then get rid of everything I couldn't use and then sell it. That was the only way I knew to do it. That would be in my best interest. Now, some people didn't think that was the right thing to do. People that had absolutely no business talking about it. People that hadn't offered a hand, a condolence, nothing, a phone call, not even a text. It was none of their business what I did. I look back at that now, and I know I made the right decision. It was the right decision for me. Maybe not for someone else, but it was for me. Because I was looking at, if I stayed in that house, my bank account, my savings would just be eaten up by it. What would be left for me? I had nowhere else to go. That was pretty clear. So I felt that in order for me to thrive, to survive, actually it was survival first, thriving later, but in order for me to survive all of this, it was better for me to leave my home and come here. One of the biggest drawbacks is it's not your property. You own your home. You're responsible for the property, but it doesn't belong to you. That's one of the drawbacks. But this was not meant to be a permanent home for me. This was meant to be a stepping stone, a place to land until I found that perfect property. I've talked about this before, but this is the only thing I'm going to talk about in this one. So I saw one in this community. It's a 55 plus community. I saw one and I thought, I'm going to go look at that. The very moment that I drove by it, it was already sold. And it was just within hours. It was just unbelievable how fast that home sold. And the price was really reasonable. Because remember, you're not buying the land, you're only buying the home. Manufactured homes, unless they are permanently installed, are titled like a car, and the value goes down over the years. I don't see that as a bad thing. I really don't. As long as you take care of it, and as long as you update or, don't let it get in a bad condition, you're still going to get a decent amount for it. It doesn't deteriorate that much. This home is very nice. It's got drywall. It's not, paneled or anything like that. It's a very nice house. You would not know if you went room to room, you would not know that it was a mobile home. You just wouldn't. It's a very nice home. So I was looking for something that would give me that place for my artwork, for all my supplies that I was keeping. And believe me, I was getting rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, I got rid of over half of everything I had, but it still wasn't enough to get rid of. I mean, I should have got rid of more, but at the time of my life that I did this, I was still not doing well. It took me almost 2 years to get over it. They say that if you are vaxxed, it's long COVID, but you don't have to be vaxxed to have long COVID. I'm not the only one that suffered from it. Your body just can't fight it. That's all there is to it. Somehow I made it. My husband didn't. So some people scoffed because I bought a mobile home. Well, it was the right decision for me. It was something that I felt was a good place for me to go, to not have as many responsibilities and as many financial expenses just to survive. So yeah, I wish I didn't have to do that, but I only lived in 3 rooms after he passed away because I just was too weak to do anything else. I slept in the bed in the guest room. I couldn't sleep in the master bedroom because I just couldn't. I just couldn't. Um, I used the hall bathroom that had a shower in the kitchen, and of course the living room, but I don't consider the bathroom, like a actual room. It's just, part of everything. But living room, kitchen, and bedroom. That's it. That's all I used in that house, and it was a huge house. So why would I stay? Why would I put myself through um, all of that? Because then I would have to hire someone to come and clean. I would have to hire someone to do the yard and do all the necessary things that your spouse does, the things that I could not do. And there were a lot of things I couldn't even use that he used because he was a big guy, he was 6 foot tall. He was a big guy. He could handle a lot of things I couldn't. He used to laugh jokingly that because I was so short, he could do all the tall stuff and I could do all the stuff below. And that's exactly what we did. It worked. It was fun. We made it fun. But once you're in a situation where that house is no longer fun, it's time to make a choice. Whether it's a year later or a day later, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. People say, oh, well, you shouldn't make big decisions like that for at least a year. Okay, but you have to also realize that there are finances involved. There are chores and all kinds of things that need to be done. And if you can't do them, then it's going to cost a lot more. A lot more. Because people need to make a fair wage. It's not that I didn't want to pay anybody. I was just afraid that I would end up in the poorhouse, So it was the right decision. So let's talk about living in one of these homes. There are some that are not as nice or as good. But if it's what someone can afford, it's perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with any of them. I needed a specific type of house. I needed something to be my art studio. It was something I wanted my entire life. And the only way I could do it and meet that goal, that thing on my bucket list, was to buy this house. As I drove through this place and the house I was looking at was already, they were taking the sign out of the window. As I pulled up, it was sold. You're only allowed to have a sign in the window, so if the sign goes away, it's done. And then when I looked it up on my phone, it had sold. So as I'm driving through, this one had just had a sign put in the window. So I think the universe was telling me, hey, here's the right place for you. So I called. I sat in front of the house as soon as that sign went. I mean, they just put it in the window. And I saw it and I dialed the number looking at it. And I said, I want to look at this house. How much is it? And they told me. And I said, I want to look at this house right away. Can I look at it today? Well, no, but you can look at it tomorrow. And so I made an appointment for the next day. And I bought it. It was perfect for me. It had the size in the family room. It was big enough for my art supplies, I thought. It's 3 bedrooms. I thought, well, one room could be storage, which it is, and it's always going to be storage. I don't need it for anything else. It had a nice bedroom. It had a beautiful view of nature, which is something I really wanted. Sometimes I regret it because it's so hard to keep up, but I still love it. Um, it needed some work. There were some things that I noticed that weren't so great, but the house itself, the inside of the house itself, suited me. It's less than half the size of the house I left. So that's what made me think, well, if I get rid of half of everything, I'll be good. Well, no, because nothing ever fits. It never fits. None of my furniture would fit, or almost none. So I thought, well, okay, that's okay. That's just a sign for me to get rid of things, declutter, you know, get rid of a lot of things I don't need. So then the time comes for me to move in and start figuring things out for myself. The first thing that happened, um, I needed a water heater. It was still working, but it wasn't working well. And it was leaking under the house. And now they said they fixed whatever it was, but they didn't fix it. They just put a Band-Aid on it, of course. But that's okay. I had the water heater changed. Well, then the faucet in the kitchen, she told me it was brand new, and it wasn't. It was a used faucet that they put on there that looked brand new. I had to replace that because it was getting ready to burst. It was not a good faucet. So I replaced that. Then I had to replace the one in the master bath. And then I had to replace the one in the hall bathroom because they were all having trouble leaking and things, leaking in the cabinet. So, and it wasn't something you could fix. It was, I don't know exactly, I don't remember what it was. So I replaced all of those. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, each set of faucets is around $100. So yeah, it's a lot. And then the water heater, and there were just things here and there, just, okay, this is broken. This has to be fixed. Oh, this happened. I got to fix that. So little by little, I worked on those things. So the reason I'm telling you this is because it's harder to find someone that will work on these. That's one thing to take into consideration if you're thinking about doing it. Because a lot of these companies, they don't want to work on one of these homes. And the reason for that is there's this underbelly where all your pipes and everything are, and your insulation and all that stuff, and it's a pain in the butt for them to work under there. And I understand. However, some of them will come and do something, but then they won't do anything under it. So if you have a problem, for instance, the toilet in the hall bathroom, there was a problem with it. It leaked all over the place. Well, I had someone put in, the guts in it, and it worked for, I don't know, maybe about 6 months. But then it happened again. And I couldn't figure out why it would happen after a brand new, things were put in. Had it done again, and it still happened again. So I don't understand plumbing, so I just said, okay, well, it flooded really bad. So anyway, I shut the water off, and I called around. I called all these companies, and most of them wouldn't even come. And some of them, their price was so outrageous. I was like, well, at least I have one bathroom. I'm not going to worry about it that much. So I just took my time finding someone, and then I found someone that actually their whole business is working on these. So I thought, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for this angel. Well, he was not an angel. And within just less than a month, it failed. It would not flush. It would not hold water. And I had not noticed it because I was not doing very well. I wasn't feeling well. So I just stayed, I didn't go in the art room. So I didn't go in that room. I didn't come in here. So it was probably about 2 weeks before I noticed that the water kept going down. And I thought, well, maybe it just evaporated. Well, that wasn't the case. So I got in touch with him. It took him like 3 or 4 days before he even got in touch with me. And he had a 1 year warranty. Well, his warranty was a joke. The only part of the warranty that was true was if it was something he did wrong, then he would fix it for free. That's not a frickin' warranty. That's a brand new toilet, brand new wax ring, brand new everything that needed to go in it. And he would not warranty it. Didn't fall under the warranty. So then I would have to pay him to come back and put in a new toilet if it was the toilet. But first he would fix the stuff on the inside. That must have failed. Well, guess what? I would have had to replace that and then still have to replace the toilet. So I just ignored him. I just said, you know what? So you're telling me that you do not have a warranty. And then he kind of backpedaled a little bit. And I thought, I'm done. So I finally found a company. They do everything. They do anything that's plumbing. They don't care what kind of house you live in. So I called them. Their price was a teeny bit more, like maybe $50 more than the other guy. But they brought me a really nice toilet. They put it in. It doesn't leak. It flushes like it's supposed to. But it ended up costing me, like I said, twice to put one in. I've had to learn my lessons on those. Same thing with the deck. I had to have it done twice because you can't trust people. So, and a lot of people, like I said, just don't want to be bothered working on these homes. So keep that in mind when you are looking. If you decide you want to try it and you have the money to do it, just do it. But I see a lot of posts where, oh, is there an electrician out there or is there a plumber out there that doesn't charge an arm and a leg but does a good job? No, probably not. And there's some out there that charge and still don't do a good job, so it's, a crapshoot. But keep that in mind because it is harder to find someone reliable and honorable to do your work for you. Now, the company I had do the plumbing, I had them come back and do something else, and I was very pleased with them. So there you go. I had a leaky faucet outside, and they put in a brand new one, and it's been perfect. So I'm really happy with that. It cost me, but I was happier paying the price. I think it was $200. I was happy paying that because what if the other guy had done it and didn't do it right? Then I would have had to pay double. So to me, I got a discount. So yeah, I mean, you have to take everything into consideration. One guy that came to do a job for me says, "Oh, your water, there's like a water shut-off meter, whatever it is, under the house." And he says, "Oh, it's full of water. You're going to have to replace that." And I said, "Oh," I said, "well, we just had a lot of rain and there's a lot of water that pools up under there. So, maybe it's that. Let's wait and see until it dries up, if it dries up or not." Well, when the guy fixed the plumbing, the company that did a good job, when they went to shut the water off, I said, he said, everything looks good under there. And I said, is that, you know, I don't know what it's called, but anyway, it's like a thing that's in the ground where your meter and everything is. I said, was that really dry in there? Was it okay? He goes, yeah, it's perfect. So people like to take advantage of widows and seniors, women in general. So that's something else to be considerate of. I mean, think about it. Think about it really. You're better off to pay the price and know it's done right, and then you have recourse afterwards if it isn't. So, yeah, same thing with the roof. The roof had a new roof on it. It was only 4 years old when I moved here. Well, that was another problem. The roof had 2 layers of shingles. You do not put 2 layers of shingles on a mobile home. First and foremost, it's not built for that. In my opinion, they shouldn't have two layers of shingles on any home, but some people do. The thing is, when we had a really bad downpour one day, I started getting leaks everywhere. I could hear water running in the wall. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Is my plumbing, oh my God, my shower, it's leaking. It's. Well, then when the rain stopped, it stopped. It didn't make any more noise. And then I'm like, oh no, it's got to be the roof. There's got to be something wrong up there. So I called, and yeah, I needed a new roof. There was no way I couldn't go without a new roof. They had to take 2 layers of shingles off. I have 3 skylights, no, 2 skylights. I'm sorry, that was the other house. 2 skylights, and they were leaking like a sieve. And I kept getting water in the bathtub, and I don't use that bathtub. And I didn't realize where it was coming from. I had bottled water in the tub, for emergencies, because I had nowhere else to put it. So I put, big bottles of water in there just for like flushing the toilet or whatever. And yeah, I thought it was leaky bottles. That's what I thought it was. It wasn't. It was the skylight leaking because there's one over the tub. I hate it. I hate it over the tub. But it's there. It would have cost me an arm and a leg to replace it with wood, put, new roof over it, and then re-drywall. It would have cost a fortune, so I just went ahead. It was cheaper in the long run just to do the replacement, which cost quite a bit. So anyway, so keep that in mind. Make sure that a reliable company put that roof on. There were no corners cut. And make sure that your home inspector inspects the roof. But he told me, well, typically a roof that new we don't inspect. So I agreed to it. My bad. I should have said no, I want it inspected. I want everything looked at. But oh well. And where the leaks were like in serious places where, ceiling lights and where the exhaust fans and stuff were. That's where the leaks were in the laundry. I mean, it was everywhere in the laundry room. There was evidence of, some kind of leak in the water heater closet. And they told me that was from when the roof leaked before they had it fixed. But they didn't fix it. They didn't take care of it. That was a lie. They knew the roof leaked. They knew it. I guarantee they knew it. So these are things that, especially if you're a woman, a senior, a widow, you have to think about these things before you go for it. I didn't think about them. I wasn't really in my right frame of mind because of the grief and being sick. And, I mean, I wasn't contagious when I was doing all this, but I was still very weak and still recovering. So, yeah. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you to be aware of these problems. And I think these problems are going to be prevalent in any home that you buy. So I don't see it as a negative to these homes. Some people will say that it is, but it isn't. The only thing that's negative about it, excuse me, is the fact that the people that you hire to work on these homes, you got to be careful. Because there's a lot of handymen out there that they're going to rip you off. A lot of them. I happen to know several. Excuse me, I have this stuff called Clear Voice, and it really does help. It really helps. So anyway, what else? Everything in the house works. Everything is good. Things that were not good were due to the previous owners. As far as feeling safe here, I am for the most part, except in the really bad storms with like tornadoes and stuff. There's nowhere for you to go. You just have to hope that the universe, God, all that is, takes care of you. That's a fact. But on the other side of that is no matter what home you're in, you're still in danger. It doesn't mean that the storm can't just take your house off its foundation and you with it, because there is no way to control a tornado or a hurricane or anything else for that matter. So I look at it as, okay, yeah, there are some downfalls. I wish we could have better rules, laws for these homes to be permanently attached. I wish we could. They should be permanently attached. For them to be safer. However, in order for you to get the benefits of the lower cost of taxes and living costs, that's the thing that you have to deal with. But I've known people that have lived in these homes for 30 and 40 years, and they've never had a problem. So that tells me that there's nothing wrong with these homes. I wouldn't be afraid to buy another one. If I ever wanted to move out of this home and move somewhere else, I would not be afraid to buy another one. My experience here has been great for the most part. The things that weren't great were caused by other people, by previous owners, by companies that didn't do their job, and my inability to hire the right people. I take responsibility for it. I do. It was my choice. Trying to save a little money, just trying to get something done, And that was the biggest problem that I had living here. So it's all about how you look at things, how you make decisions on, what you're going to do with your place. Right now, like I've had people offer to do the floors for me. Handyman. But I see what some people have done in this home, and I don't want to go there. I just don't want to go there. In order to replace the flooring in this house, I want a professional, a real carpenter. Now, I know a couple, but one's too busy and the other one doesn't like to do floors. So, I would hire them first for sure because I know them, I know their work, and I trust them to do a good job. But one lives too far away, it costs too much, travel back and forth and all that. And the other one works all the time, so, know. So if I decide to get the floor done, in the art room, the new art room, it's going to have to be a professional company. It's just the way it is. So I feel that, there's a lot of DIYers out there that can do it. Go for it. Just make sure you understand the workings of a mobile home before you start. Because some people can really ruin things. So, other than that, I don't really see any negative parts about this except what other people think. So, let's talk about that for a minute. Some people think, oh, you live in a mobile home. Oh, geez, wow, that's not so great. I don't see anything wrong with this house. It's equal to any other house I've ever seen anyone else live in, other than mansions. I've been in a couple of those, and those are a little better, but uh, I've looked at a lot of homes. Look, when we bought two homes, okay, two different homes before I bought this one. In all total, between the two homes, we looked at 86 properties before we bought either one, together, combined, before we bought those homes. If you combine those actual walkthroughs before we found a house that was suitable, that didn't have big holes in the wall or leaks in the ceiling or, had to be move-in ready. I wasn't buying something that I had to, completely gut and start over. That was not my intention. So it took a long time for us to find something that it was in our budget and that was in good shape. So even though this house had a lot of problems that, I thought I wouldn't have to do, every home I've been in had to have work. And some of it was lots of work, and some of it was quite expensive. So it doesn't really matter where you go or what home you buy. Buy what's comfortable for you. Buy what works for you. Buy what makes you feel financially secure. And that was the number one reason that I wanted to buy one of these homes. Because the price of them is low enough that I felt, even with the lot rent, my lot rent is $680. You cannot even rent a house or an apartment for that. Sure, I had to buy the home, but I still would have to fix things up, I mean, I would still have to do maintenance. I would still have to do all these things. So I feel like $680 a month is really reasonable. I really do. It's quiet. It's safe. It's a safe neighborhood. I've got good neighbors. They're always willing to help if I ask. I feel like it's a good place for me. So do I recommend these places? Absolutely. Just do your homework first. And make sure that you have people that you can depend on to work on them that are actually licensed and insured in your city or town. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There are a lot of rules here, and they're understandable. Because if we want a nice place to live, then we want to keep it nice. So I understand most of the rules. Some of them, but any HOA is going to have rules that you might not like. But just keep those things in mind. And also, some of these parks are not as good as others. So you have to really do a lot of research before you pick one. I only know of two. This one and another one about 40 miles away that are really good. I don't know any others in this area that I would live in. There are some, within a 40, 50-mile range that are really nice too. But, it depends on where you want to live. I wanted to live close to people I knew. So, yeah. So would I recommend it? Yeah, I do. I recommend it. If you need a place to live that's reasonably priced, that you can, live out your years or just take a fresh step, just start over. I don't see anything wrong with it. And these houses sell fast. You put one up for sale, it's sold within a week, sometimes within a day, depending on your price. Now, because this one is 1,856 square feet, it costs more, and it will sell for more. But that's okay. Not too many houses in this community are this size. I feel really fortunate that I was able to buy this one. Even though it had a lot of problems, it's still a nice home. It has no more problems than a stick-built home would have. And for me, a lot less stress. Because now everything is on one level. The only thing I wish I could change is the way the steps are coming in the house. But as long as I'm physically able to do the steps, I'm doing the steps. And when I'm not able to, then I'll have a ramp put in. And that is the only thing I really would change if I could. I would have it go down 2 steps and a landing and 2 steps and a landing, to make it easier to get up and down. But it isn't a necessity because stairs are good for you. If it wasn't for these stairs, it would have taken me a lot longer to get better because I was very weak. So I told you a lot of personal things as well as the reasons that I feel it's a good thing to buy. Just be careful. And when the other thing is make sure you get a reliable inspector, home inspector. Make sure they are reliable. And make sure that they check everything. I don't care if the roof is 3 months old. I would still make them check it after what happened to me. So see, it's not the house. It's not the mobile home. It's not the manufactured home or whatever you want to call it. It's not the home. It's the people that live there, the handymen, the people that are shoddy. And that happens in any home. So I know this is a long one, but I wanted to tell everything as much as I could so that you understand why I'm here and why I decided to stay. I can't live anywhere cheaper. I cannot. And everything I need is within 4 miles. That's the other plus. So if at some point in the future I cannot drive, I still have options here. So you have to really think things through. Don't make any rash decisions, but don't put a time limit on it either. Just go about it methodically, write things down that are important to you, and then make a decision when you find that one that you say, oh, wow, I could make this work. And there you have it. It's the same process as buying a stick-built house or a condo or whatever. Same process. Pretty much the same house. You can put one of these on your own property and have it on a basement or whatever. So, yeah, it just isn't. I wish it was, but it isn't. But that's okay. I'm good. I have no regrets. The only regrets I have are hiring certain people. Isn't that a shame? So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this helps. I wish I didn't just get into the whole conversation part of it, but that's my personality. And whoever likes me, loves me, wants me to be here, that's wonderful. If you don't, please have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.